podcast on the Boss Up Houston Network. Come get your questions answered. We'll see you then. And remember, lawyer up. Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is your boy, Steve Okoraha, Lawyer Up with Steve podcast on the Boss Up Houston Network. Where you been? I missed you. You are here for my 6th episode. I know it's a lot. You know, we're going strong. We're giving y'all a lot of great information, a lot of good topics, a lot of good knowledge that you guys can use in your day-to-day lives. And I got another one for you. This one's pretty big. But before we get into that, for all the new people that have tuned in, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an attorney that practices primarily in Fort Bend and Harris County, and those are counties in Texas in the Houston area. For those that are not familiar with the Houston or Texas area, I do primarily family law, I do estate planning, I do traffic tickets, and I do business and contracts. So those are my areas of specialty, but I'm very knowledgeable on a wide range of legal issues. I consider myself a jack of all trades, so I got a little bit of information that I'm going to give you on not just those topics, but other topics as well. So I am going to try to inform and give some insight into a very big topic today. And what topic is that? As the episode says, it is called love and marriage. So we are talking about divorces. How little bit of things that happens when you get married, some things to look out for when you're getting a divorce. But it's such a big topic that we're going to have to break it up into 2 parts. So today is going to be part 1. We're going to teach you mostly the ins and outs of marriage, what happens with divorce. Then the second part next week is going to be about exactly how you get a divorce. I mean, I know some of you are maybe in situations you want to get out of and you want to know exactly how to get out of it without any muss or fuss, or maybe even not wanting to have to bring an attorney into play. I will teach you all of that next week. But for this one, we have several topics that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about common law marriage. We're going to talk about prenups and postnups. We're going to talk about alimony, which is called spousal maintenance here in Texas. And we are also going to talk about annulments. So we got a lot of juicy topics we're going to go to. I'm not going to tell you every single thing, but I'm going to give you enough that you're going to be dangerous whenever you have to do these things. But with that, we're going to take a little break, pay some bills. We're going to come back. We're going to dive right into it and give you that knowledge. So we'll be right back.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's Steve-O on the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast, back again. I told you we're going to dive right into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about is common law marriage. Now, these are really crazy times now with COVID-19, with the coronavirus. So a lot of people are at home, sitting, relaxing, or maybe you might be shacking up with your significant other, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend. But there is something in Texas called common law marriage, which means you can actually consider yourselves married without even going to court, without even getting in front of a reverend or a priest, to make it official. You say, Steve, how is that? Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. There are several elements that you can use to accomplish this, but there are pros and cons to it. So you want to remember that getting common law married, has some ups and some downs as well. So how do you do this? You must both live together, house and apartment, doesn't matter, you both must agree to be married. So there has to be an agreement on both of you guys' part. It can't just be one of you saying that, oh, hey, we're married. We go together. And then third, you must represent and hold yourself out to others that you are married. So you want to make sure that others know about it, not just you two, not just your dog, your cat. You want to make sure that you represent to everybody that you are married. So that's an important thing. These three elements have to be proved in the event of trying to claim any employer or death benefits. If one of you passes away. So let's say the person that you're living with that you consider married were to have any type of on-the-job accident and unfortunately they pass away. Well, it would be very difficult for you to claim that you were married because that employer might try to come after you and try to discredit your marriage and prove that you're not married. So it's just one of those things that if for any reason you can't get it official, you want to make sure that you are trying to do at least these first three things so that you can make sure that anyone will know that it is an official marriage. So, one of the cons as well is that this can be used fraudulently by the person you're living with at any time. So, the only way to end a common law marriage is with a divorce and a splitting up of assets. And you think, Steve, so you mean my girlfriend or my boyfriend that I've been living with for 5 years can, potentially get access to all my property? Yeah, absolutely. It just depends if he or she considered yourselves to be married and she can prove it, he or she can prove it. So it's just one of those things you got to really be careful of who you choose to live with, and you have to make sure that it's known that if you choose to be married, great, there's no problem with that. But if you choose not to be married, then do not hold yourself out and don't give any signals that you're considering yourselves to be married. So be very careful who you live with. That's really the message there. So you may be wondering, well, Steve, what proves that you have a common law marriage? And I'm so glad you asked. So one of those things is filing a joint tax return. If you file jointly, the government will consider you married. It's one of those things that certifies that you're considering yourselves to be married. That is one of the proofs of being common law married. The second, documents listing both of you as spouses. It could be a rental application, a lease, something that a bank account, something that you can have a joint, both of your names are on there. Third, a couple listed as spouses on title to assets, cars, houses, boats, RVs, etc. If both of your names are listed on there, that's something that also proves that you're married. Testimony of witnesses, which of course are those people that know that you've told that you guys are married. And then, of course, the testimony of the couple, the wife taking the husband's last name, or vice versa in 2020. So those are things that will show that are proof that you are common law married. So you want to make sure that if you are wanting to establish yourselves as common law married, definitely go ahead and do these things and get these things certified so that you can get those benefits if you want. If you're not trying to be common law married, make sure you're not doing these things, and make sure that you keep things separate from your significant other so that you're not giving the implication that you are common law married. The very next thing we're going to go into that somewhat closely ties to this, and which is also used by people to protect themselves, is what's called a premarital agreement, mostly called prenups. That's what everybody calls it. So everybody knows what a prenup is. It is a mechanism used to keep what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. It's to separate separate property and to basically take away what's called community property. Now you're asking, what is community property? What is separate property? Separate property is the property that you carry with you and you own prior to the marriage. So that is anything you acquire, anything that's gifted to you, anything that you have purchased on your own before marriage. Anything that is purchased, acquired, or earned after marriage is community property. So that means your salary, your wages, your insurance, your death proceeds, your IRAs, your 401ks, everything like that. Your furniture, the houses, cars, all of that is community property from when you are married onward. Now, is everything automatically community property? It is presumed community property unless you can trace it to be your separate property. But the main reason why people use prenups is that it sets it up at the beginning so that from the date of marriage going forward, there is no community property. So you have the right to claim that no community property will result from the marriage, meaning that what is yours, including your income from separate property and earnings and benefits from work. You can still agree that certain things have joint ownership, but only with an agreement. So if you want that house to be owned by both of you, you can still do that. It doesn't mean that you can't enter an agreement that both of you own the home. You can still do that. You can waive all rights to death and inheritance benefits with a premarital agreement. So in the state of Texas, which is another topic, which is probate and the divestment of property when you die, it is automatically assumed that your spouse is going to get certain things. Well, with this, you can also say that, hey, my spouse is not going to get these things. They're going to go to my kids or my mom or my dad or my aunt. You can do that with a premarital agreement. Whenever you sign one of these agreements, you have to show that you've read the document carefully and you understand it, meaning you have to be in a very lucid state, almost when you're signing over a power of attorney. It's good to get these things notarized just so that there's that extra added level of protection for yourself. You may also do this after you get married, which is called a post-nuptial agreement. So if you have some things and you say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm protecting this asset because I want this to be only in my name, then you can definitely do that. So just because you're in a marriage now does not mean you can make this agreement, but to tell you the truth, it is a tough conversation you're going to have with your spouse once you do get married. But hey, everybody has reasons for wanting to do this. Your reasons are your own. When you come to me, I will go ahead and put that agreement together as you wish. So those are the first two topics we tackled there: common law marriage, prenuptial agreements. If you ever need one of those, you have any other questions, definitely let me know. But when we come back, we're going to talk about two other topics that I really have to tell you about, and we will take a break and we'll be right back.
Hello again, Stafford. We are extremely proud of the diverse community we have in Stafford.
We need you to get out and vote for Cecil Willis.
Breakfast at Auntie D's, take one. That's all it's gonna take.
Ricky Daddy's on the beat. Wine, dime, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. The type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of you that like to get dime anytime. Gun, please sipper, Moet, Patron sipper. Do you the type of girl that like to pull down the zipper?
I like those shoes.
Etouffee, appetizer. After this, I'm digging your thighs. Real debonair's eye. Look in your eyes. You gotta smirk upon your
Go sit down, baby. Go sit down.
And I'm impressed with your waist, with deep shape in your thigh. Compliment you on your beauty and your hair and your booty. Hey.
Here you go, baby.
Wine, dine, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of dude that like to get down anytime. Comfort zone when you
Cut.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to get right into it, give you the next two topics that we have to talk about. We're talking about love and marriage, mainly how marriages end, how you get into them, how they may be fraudulent, what types of things can happen in marriage, how can you be caught up in certain things when you are married, and of course how you get out of them. So one of those ways of getting out of them is what's called getting an annulment. Now, the thing to remember about an annulment is on one hand, divorce on another hand. An annulment ends an invalid marriage, meaning it was never valid to begin with. A divorce ends a valid marriage. So the way you think about an annulment is not just another way of getting a divorce without it being official. It's just letting the court know that this marriage shouldn't have happened for several different reasons. So you can't just decide to get an annulment because you changed your mind. You know, some of you may decide to get married, run down to the courthouse like you do in Vegas, and you get married real quick, and you know, you wake up the next morning. That's that old cliche that you just decide that, hey, I don't feel like being married. Well, you can't always get an annulment. You may have to get a divorce, but there are certain instances where you can actually get an annulment. So there are 8 reasons that a judge has to, you know, approve it. But before we get there, you know, what I want to do is take a little bit of a break, because we need to come back. I need to really prepare you for these. So give us a few minutes and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. You know, I had to pay a little bit of bills. You know, I may have owed some people, so that's why we had to go to commercial. So, like I said, we're going to get right into those 8 reasons that a judge must approve so that you can get an annulment. Now, remember, annulment is a little bit different than divorce. You can't just get an annulment because you choose to, or you just want to erase that marriage. It is to show that a marriage was invalid to begin with. And a divorce is getting rid of a valid marriage. So, what are those things you can get an annulment with? If there was fraud in the marriage, you were fraudulently induced into getting this marriage, or maybe you mistakenly signed a document that made you guys married that you had no idea. That's one of the reasons that you can claim an annulment. Second, intoxication. You lacked your clear mental faculties to go ahead and enter this agreement. You were under the influence of alcohol, you know, drugs, any type of, you know, narcotics, something that made it so that you weren't able to know that you were actually doing it. Duress or force. Someone forced you against your will, maybe held something against you, maybe blackmailed you into doing it because, you know, they wanted you to get into this marriage and you had no choice. Basically, you were in fear for your life or in fear of something else. Incest. Everybody knows what incest is. It is an invalid relationship with a relative, a close relative, someone that's in your immediate family, someone within 1 degree of consanguinity of your relations. So that's something that is invalid. Bigamy. You are already married. You can't marry more than, it's against the law to be married to more than one person. So if you're already married and you got married again, then that marriage, that second marriage you got into, is invalid. Therefore, it should be annulled. Underage spouse. You have to be the age of 18 to get married, or you have to have consent from a parent to get married if you're under 18. So if that underage person got married and they did not get consent from their parents, then that marriage is invalid by law. Impotency. This is a pretty tricky one, but not a lot of people claim this, but if you are unable to have sexual intercourse with your spouse for whatever reason, that is a reason that you can claim an annulment, because you didn't know, you weren't told, a lot of different reasons. That's just one of the reasons that they give you. And the last one, mental incapacity. You were in a coma, or you weren't in a clear, lucid state. You had something going on with you. You lacked the ability to get into any type of agreement, any type of contract, including a marriage, which is one of the reasons why they give you the ability to get annulment. So That is what differs with a divorce. These are things that you just basically let the court know that the marriage is invalid to begin with. It just shouldn't have happened, and that's what an annulment is. So the last thing here that also goes into more on the divorce side is alimony. Now you're saying, Steve, well, hey, if I ever get out of a relationship and that my spouse did me wrong, I'm going to get alimony and it's automatic. I've seen it on TV. I know it's going to happen. Not correct. Don't even try it. In Texas, we call it spousal maintenance, and it is very tough to get in Texas. In California, it's a lot easier. It's almost automatically presumed if there's certain conditions are present, but in Texas it's a little bit different. The requesting spouse must first prove that after divorce, meaning after the division of assets and liabilities, there will not be enough property, including that spouse's separate property, to meet his or her minimum reasonable needs, which usually means the spouse's monthly expenses. So if you say, Judge, well, without my spouse, with the separate property I have, I will not be able to, just feed myself and house myself, or I won't be able to upkeep myself. I will be almost next to homeless, not necessarily close to homeless, but I can't, do certain things. I need some type of support while I get myself on my feet. That's just part of the condition of you trying to claim spousal maintenance. Now, what else should you prove? One of the following. The marriage has been for 10 years or longer. Let me read that again. The marriage has been for at least 10 years or longer, because I get this a lot. People think that if you were married within about 10 years or maybe 5 years, 2 years, that you can automatically get alimony. And let's say you married a rich guy or gal, it has to be for at least 10 years. So it's not something you can just on a whim say you want to do. And the spouse made diligent efforts to either earn sufficient income or to develop necessary skills while the divorce is pending to meet his or her minimum reasonable needs. Now, what does that mean? Throughout the time that you were married for those 10 years, you tried to make an income. You were not able to, for whatever reason. Or you just chose to have one spouse that went to work and provide all of the income for the house, which is fine. That's just one of those things that you can show to the court in order to try to get spousal maintenance. Number two, the other spouse has committed family violence. Now, this is a common occurrence in today's society. We have domestic violence going on here and there, but one of those things that allows you to get spousal maintenance is if there has been domestic violence. So that's just one of the criteria. Or the requesting spouse has an incapacitating disability that arose during the marriage. You are somehow handicapped. You're either bedridden, or you just don't have the ability to get up and work and do these things. So if you're incapacitated, that's one of the things the court will look at to say, okay, well, hey, maybe we need to order some spousal maintenance so that this person can continue to live the life that they do. And lastly, if you have a child of the marriage of any age that has a physical or mental disability that prevents the spouse who cares for them and supervises the child from earning sufficient income. So if you have a child that takes a lot of care from you, and you're not able to go about earning the same type of living that you normally would because you are taking care of the child at home, that is one of the things that you can use to request spousal maintenance. So those are just some of the things that you should consider. Like I said, spousal maintenance in Texas is pretty tough. Alimony everywhere else is a lot simpler, but in Texas they put a lot of stringent requirements to make sure that the person really needs it. And even then, it is very hard to get in court. So make sure that you can prove one or both of these criteria, and then maybe if you're getting a divorce, you can get it. So when we come back, we have one last topic to talk about. I'm going to pose this question to you guys. We're going to see a short video about it, and then we're going to discuss briefly, and then we're going to, part ways and then come back for part 2 next week. So we will be right back.
Devin, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion.
Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one.
Is this good?
Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Don't play yourself. Hit subscribe to play more Geico videos.
Hello again, Stafford. We are extremely proud of the diverse community we have in Stafford.
We need you to get out and vote for Cecil Willis.
All right. Welcome back to the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast. So, like I told you, I have a video to show you guys. It is basically explains a bill being prepared in Texas to end no-fault divorces, and meaning that the bill is trying to eliminate what's called a divorce by irreconcilable differences, and it's trying to claim that you will need to have fault between with one of the parties. And what do I mean by that? So with divorces, the most common claim for divorce is, Judge, we have irreconcilable differences that does not allow the marriage to succeed. There's a lot more language to that, but basically it's, hey, we don't get along. We have differences that we just can't sort out. And that's a no-fault divorce, and mostly that's what is granted. However, there are several different ways that you can also prove fault in a marriage. There is adultery. There is physical violence. There's all types of things. There's a lot of things. So what this bill is basically that is being prepared is basically trying to say you have to prove fault. Why that is? Let's learn a little bit about that, and let's get into this video, and then we'll talk about it when we come back.
Christy Davis drove 190 miles from Fort Worth to this hearing room. After 20 years of marriage, she's going through a divorce.
And I can tell you, out of the 6 of us, 5 of us don't want this, and that includes all 4 of my children.
She came to tell lawmakers she wants to work it out with her husband, but current law lets the family break apart upon his wish.
I can't say at any point in time I disagree with this and it make any difference.
Those situations inspired Representative Matt Krause to target the most common path to divorce. He thinks current law doesn't give the defendant due process of law, and limiting no-fault divorce would give them a legal way to try and keep a marriage together.
We make it a lot harder to get into marriage than we do to get out of it. It almost seems like it should be the opposite.
We're punishing the person who's not the wrongdoer.
Charla Bradshaw from the Texas Family Law Foundation came to tell lawmakers this could lead to long, nasty divorce trials that would bump up emotion and expense.
Or someone who is in a very bad...
All right, welcome back. What'd y'all think of the video? Yeah, it's a very controversial topic. I mean, if you're in a marriage and you and your spouse, for whatever reason, are at odds, and you want to get a divorce, this bill makes it harder for you to get a divorce because it shows that you need to prove fault. One of you have to be at fault. One of you have had to have done something to the other. Should that happen? I don't know, but I'm going to leave you with that. We're going to follow up a part 2 next week so that we can talk about that a little more. We can dive into that. I can give you my answer. Did this bill succeed? Did it not? We will talk about all of that. And of course, next week is going to be about exactly how you go about getting a divorce. Now, I've talked about a lot of different elements of getting a divorce, a lot of things that go on within the marriage that can set you up in a good way, set you up in a bad way. But as usual, I always have to tell you the how about, going about getting that done. So just in case you're not wanting to do all that, then you can give me a call and I can take care of all of that for you so you won't have to lift a finger. So let me give you my contact details. My email is contact@goodmanmcgill.com. My phone number is 833-529-9748. My website is www.goodmanmcgill.com. And as usual, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And as usual, remember, when life gets you down, remember to lawyer up. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Don't miss it. You're not going to want to. Have a good weekend. Lawyer Up with Steve podcast on the Boss Up Houston Network. Come get your questions answered. We'll see you then. And remember, lawyer up.